Welcome to my class of operating system. Today we will learn about distributed system security. A distributed system is typically a composition of geo-dispersed resources that collectively provide services linking dispersed data producers and consumer, provides on-demand, high reliability, high availability, consistent resource access, often using replication schemas to handle resource, and enables a collective aggregated capability from the distributed resources to provide an illusion of a logically centralized coordinated resource or service. To support these functionalities, a distributed system commonly entails a progression of four elements. These include data flow across the collection of authorized input, transportation of the data across the distributed resources, a resource coordination schema, and property-based data management to support the desired application. Example: transactions, databases, storage, control, and computing, among others. Consequently, distributed system security addresses the set of threats arising from the attack surfaces created across the resource structure and from the functionalities of the distributed systems. Security threat is a way of looking at security in computer system is that we attempt to protect the service and data it offers against security threats. A diversity of viewpoints, models, and deployment exist for characterizing distributed system. These include defining a distributed system at the level of the aggregation of physical resources. While a spectrum of definition exists, distributed system can broadly be classified by the coordination schema linking the resource or by the specification of the services utilizing them. There are four types of security threats. Security is one of the most important principles since security need to be pervasive through the system. Security policies decide the security goals of a computer system, and these goals are achieved through various security mechanisms. What are the goals of the security or any computer security? Secrecy. Information within the system must be accessible only to authorized user. Privacy. Information given to the user must be used only for the purpose for which was given. Authenticity. The user must be able to verify that the data obtained is from expected sender only. Integrity. Information must be protected from unauthorized access. Four types of security threats are interception, interruption, modification, fabrications. Threat is a possible danger that might exploit a vulnerability to breach security and thus cause possible harm. Attack is any attempt to destroy, expose, alter, disable, steal, or gain unauthorized access to or make unauthorized use of an asset. Interception. The concept of interception refers to the situation that an unauthorized party has gained access to a service or data. There is a need to analyze and identify the factors as well as issues related to trustworthiness of services provided by the distributed system apart from network topology and node evaluation. These factors include distributed system, physical security environment, a very important and relevant compared to network topology and node evaluations levels. An interception means that some unauthorized party have gained access to an asset. The outside party can be a person, a program, or a computing system. Example of this type of failure are illicit copying of program or data files or wiretapping to obtain data in a network, although a loss may be discovered fairly quickly. A silent interceptor may leave no traces by which the interception can be readily detected. Information security is of prime importance. Since interception also happens when data are illegally copied. Illegally copied means when the authorized user is unaware about the copying of the data. Unauthorized user gaining access to service or data like eavesdropping, illegal copying. These are the type of threats. Vulnerability refers to a design or operational weakness that allows the system to be potentially compromised by an hacker. Analogously, a threat reflects the potential or likelihood of an attacker causing damage or compromising the system. Furthermore, security is an end-to-end systems property. Consequently, the vulnerability of a distributed system are broadly grouped based on the functional blocks therein, defining the operational chain of distributed system. Logically, this operational change also constitute the threat attack surface for the system where an attacker can exploit a vulnerability to compromise the system. At the high level, the attack surface relates to compromises of the physical resources, the communication schema, the coordination mechanism, then provided services themselves and also the usage policies on the data underlying the services. Access or admission control determines the authorized participation rights of a resource, a user, or a service within a distributed system. This can include the sourcing of data and the access right to read, write, and usage of data over the lifetime of a service. The potential threats and consequent attacks include masquerading or spoofing of identity to gain access rights to the data. It can also involve denial of service, DOS attack that determinately limit accesses. Example, depletion of computing resources and communication channels leading to the consequent inaccessibility and unavailability of the distributed resource or services. A distributed system entity, resource, service, user, or data element participates via access control in a distributed system with a physical or logical identity. The identity, statically or dynamically allocated, can be a resource identifier such as ID name or number. It can also include authorization and authentication schemas based on the use of login names, passwords, etc. Thus, any activity that involves tampering with the identity constitutes a likely threat. Example, after breaking into a person's private directory in a file system. Interruption. Interruption occurs when an asset of the system becomes lost, unavailable, or unusable. An example is malicious destruction of a hardware device, erasure of a program or data file, or malfunction of an operating system file so that it cannot find a particular disk file. Services or data becoming unavailable, unusable, and destroyed. Example, intentional file corruption, denial of service attacks. This is the concept of interruption. More generally, interruption refers to the situation in which services or data become unavailable, unusable, destroyed, and so on. The network level threats covers routing, message passing, the publish subscribe modalities of resource interaction, event based response, triggering or the threats across the network, and middleware stack. Moreover, these can be passive, we call it eavesdropping, or active attacks, we can say data modification. A typical example is the man in the middle MITM attack, where the attacker inserts itself between the victim's browser and the web server to establish two separate connections between them. This enables the attacker to actively record all messages and selectively modify data without triggering the suspicious activity alarm. If the system does not enforce endpoint authentication, example is denial of service attack, by which someone maliciously attempts to make a service inaccessible to other parties, is a security threat that classifies as interruption. Access or admission control determines the authorized participation rights of a resource, a user, or a service within a distributed system. This can include the sourcing of data and the access rights to read, write, and usage of data over the lifetime of a service. The potential threat and consequent attack, including masquerading or spoofing of identity to gain access rights to the data. It can also involve denial of service (DOS) attack that determinately limit access. Example, depletion of computing resources and communication channel, leading to the consequent inaccessibility and unavailability of resources and communication channel. A distributed system entity, entity means resource, service, user, or data elements, participates via access control in a distributed system with a physical or logical identity. The identity, statically or dynamically allocated, can be a resource identifier such as an ID name or number. It can also include authorization and authentication schemas based on the use of login name, password, etc. Thus, any activity that involves tampering with the identity constitutes a likely threat. Modification. Modification involves unauthorized changing of data or tampering with the service so that it no longer adheres to its original specifications. Unauthorized changing of data or service so that it no longer adheres to original specification. It means several changes are being done. If an unauthorized party not only accesses but tampers with an asset, the threat is a modification. For example, someone might change the values in a database after a program so that it performs an additional computation or modify data being transmitted electronically. It is even possible to modify hardware. Some cases of modification can be detected with simple measure, but others, more subtle changes, may be almost impossible to detect. Example, modifications include intercepting and subsequently changing a program so that it secretly logs the activity of a computer. The network level threats cover routing, message passing, publish, subscribe, modalities of resource interaction, event-based response triggering, or the threats across the network and middleware stack. Moreover, these can be passive. Passive means like an eavesdropping or active attack where data modification is being done. Peer-to-peer P2P system constitutes a decentralized variant of distributed system. Their popularity is driven by the characteristic P2P features of scalability, decentralization, decentralized coordination and low cost. Scalability implies that no changes to the protocol design are needed with increasing number of peers, whereas a client-server architecture typically entails increasing back-end resources with increasing number of client requests. This is not in the case for P2P due to its inherent by design decentralized architecture. Furthermore, the decentralized P2P system designs promote inherent resilience against individual peer failures or other disruptions. The peer population itself represents the service provisioning infrastructure of the system. Potential service consumers are therefore required to partake in resource provisioning, avoiding the need for dedicated data centers. Over the past 2 decades, a multiple of P2P models have emerged. Regardless of their specific realization, they usually combine the several principles like symmetry of interfaces, resilience to perturbations in the underlying communication, data and service survivability, usage of peer resources, address variance of resources provisioning among peers. Fabrication. Fabrication refers to the situation in which additional data or activities are generated that would normally not exist. Finally, an unauthorized party might create a fabrication of counterfeit objects on a computing system. The intruder may insert spurious transactions to a network communication system or add records to an existing database. Sometimes these additions can be detected as forgeries, but if skillfully done, they are virtually indistinguishable from the real thing. Additional data or activity is generated that would normally not exist. Example, adding entry to password file or database, breaking into a system by replying previously sent messages. An intruder may attempt to add an entry into the password file of database. Likewise, it is sometimes possible to break into a system by replaying previously sent messages. Note that interruption, modification, and fabrication can each be seen as form of data falsification where false data is sent to receiver. Security policy, simply stating that a system should be able to protect itself against all possible security threat, is not the way to actually build a secure system. What is first needed is a description of policy requirement, that is a security policy. An inter-organization security interaction policy agreed and committed to by all parties may be difficult to negotiate because of the need for more widespread compatibility than simplicity of communication security standard. For example, there may be incompatibilities in the level of security of their operating system. If a common security policy cannot be agreed, it may be decided to decline to communicate, either because the risk is unacceptable or to avoid the imposition of unacceptable or uncongenial security practices. For example, most organizations which are running their installation to government, military, security standards don't allow electronic mail to run on any of their network computer because of the known security exposures associated with it. They have to use a special freestanding electronic mail which is disconnected or buffered from the rest of their system. A security interaction policy in a distributed system should lead to generation of an agreed schedule of required security services and their supporting mechanisms. Security policy describes precisely which actions the entities in a system are allowed to take and which ones are prohibited. Entities include users, service, data machines, and so on. Once a security policy has been laid down, it becomes possible to concentrate on the security mechanism by which a policy can be enforced. Important security mechanisms are encryption, authentication, authorization, and auditing. Encryption involves the process of transforming data so that it is unreadable by anyone who does not have a decryption key. The secure shell SSH and socket layer SSL protocols are usually used in encryption process. The SSL drives the secure part of HTTPS sites used in e-commerce sites like eBay and Amazon.com. All data in SSL transactions is encrypted between the client and the server before the data is transferred between the two. All data in SSH sessions is encrypted between the client and the server when communicating at the shell. By encrypting the data exchange between the client and server information like social security number, credit card number, and home address can be sent over the internet with less risk of being intercepted during transit. Authentication. It is used to verify the claimed identity of a user, client, server, host, or other identity. In the case of client, the basic premise is that before a service starts to perform any work on behalf of client, the service must learn the client's identity unless the service is available to all. Typically, users are authenticated by means of passwords, but there are many other ways to authenticate client. Authentication is used when a traveler shows his ticket and driver's license at the airport so he or she can check his or her bag and receive a boarding pass. Airports need to authenticate that the person is he who he is claiming and has purchased a ticket before giving him or her a boarding pass. Authorization. After a client has been authenticated, it is necessary to check whether the client is authorized to perform the action requested. When a person shows his or her boarding pass to the flight attendant so he can board the specific plane he is supposed to be flying in, a flight attendant must authorize a person so that person can then see the inside of the plane and use the resources the plane has to fly from one place to another place. Example, if we consider the example of a medical database, depending on who accesses the database, permissions can be granted to retrieve the record. Auditing. An information security audit is an audit on the level of information security in an organization. Within the broad scope of auditing information security, there are multiple types of audit, multiple objectives for different audit, etc. Most commonly, the controls being audited can be categorized to technical, physical, and administrative. Auditing information security covers topics from auditing the physical security of data, centers to auditing the logical security of database, and highlights key component to look for and different method for auditing these areas. Audit logs can be extremely useful for the analysis of a security breach and subsequently taking measures against intruders. For this reason, attackers are generally keen not to leave any traces that could eventually lead to exposing their identity. In this sense, logging access makes attacking sometimes a riskier business. Thank you for watching.